Tonight on CTV News at 6, the campaign begins. Albertans will answer a separation question.
We need to get the answer to this now.
Danielle Smith defends her decision to call a referendum on a referendum.
I think that the UCP don't understand how much support they lost last night, but they will.
Dog owner guilty in the mauling death of an 11-year-old boy.
Her rule was that Cash couldn't be alone with the dogs, but it was clear that even one person being present with a potential victim was not enough.
And going nowhere slowly. Construction complaints in southwest Edmonton.
So what should be a 15-minute ride is taking way over an hour. It's impassable.
After a beautiful Friday, there's a chance that we could see some thunderstorms in and around the region. After that, a very nice weekend forecast. I will have all those details coming up.
CTV Edmonton, local breaking news with Jeff Hastings.
Good evening. Albertans will vote this fall whether they want to stay in Canada or start the process of separating. Today, Premier Danielle Smith defended her decision to add that question to the already planned October referendum. Connor Hogg joins us now. Connor, 10 questions on that ballot. The other 9 are being asked in a yes or no format. This one isn't?
Jeff, this one will be multiple choice. If the majority of voters choose to stay in Canada, the discussion is essentially over. If they go the other way, a more complex process begins for a referendum on separation.
I would say this is the ultimate policy debate, and that's what we're putting it forward as, is a policy question.
On October 19th, Albertans will be able to select option A, should Alberta remain a province of Canada, or option B, should the government of Alberta commence the legal process required under the Canadian Constitution to hold a binding provincial referendum on whether or not Alberta should separate from Canada.
So we need to get the answer to this now, because we do not want this lingering around for 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 years, creating that level of uncertainty. People know on October 19th there's a choice to be made.
Smith says she wants Alberta to stay in Canada and will campaign for it. But law professor Gerard Kennedy says if Albertans end up going against her, the resulting process will be complicated. The province would have to create a second, clear, and legally binding referendum question and make sure proper consultations with First Nations take place. It would also have to pass the federal government's scrutiny.
The more negotiations that can take place with the federal government in advance to make it clear, the likelier it is to pass muster.
With 10 questions now on the ballot, Elections Alberta says voters can weigh in on as many or as few questions as they want. It plans to hire between 60,000 to 90,000 election officers to administer and count the upwards of 38 million ballots. Each of the 10 questions will have a separate ballot, and all of them need to be counted by hand within 48 hours. As for the threshold of voter turnout she's looking for, the Premier says she'll accept a majority.
Most votes aren't decided that way, 50% plus 1. That's what a majority looks like, yes.
The law professor I spoke with says the UCP's appeal of the Stay Free Alberta pro-separation question could take years. He says if the question goes all the way to the Supreme Court, Albertans could be waiting for a verdict until 2029. Jeff?
All right, Connor, thank you. Connor Hogg live for us tonight. Now, reaction to the Premier's new referendum question is pouring in. From the Alberta NDP to the pro-separation groups, no one seems to be happy with the government's move. Jeremy Thompson reports.
I think that the UCP don't understand how much support they lost last night, but they will.
After months of convincing Albertans in the cold to sign their separation petition, organizers like Mitch Sylvester feel betrayed by the Premier's non-binding referendum question.
I thought that we had 301,000 Albertans sign a petition for a right to vote on Alberta independence. And now she's ignoring that.
Sylvester says Albertans should expect to see his team of volunteers all over the province this summer. Thomas Lukasik with the Forever Canadian group is also gearing up for a campaign to convince Albertans to vote in the fall referendum.
We will be asking all Albertans to minimize the pain and to vote not to have another referendum and focus on building this province, building pipelines, hospitals, schools.
With glowing hearts we see thee rise.
The opposition NDP held a press conference in Calgary's Confederation Park to show support for Alberta's place in Canada. Leader Naheed Nenshi says Premier Smith has done everything she can to appease the separatists.
Let's be clear. She will not lift one finger to help the Remain side in this ridiculous referendum.
Mayor Andrew Knack calls the fall referendum catastrophic for Edmontonians and Alberta's economy.
Along with working on the real issues that Edmontonians care about, I also now have to spend time working to engage Edmontonians to make sure they're active in this very real issue that exists, that didn't need to exist.
Opposition leader Pierre Poilievre says he'll push for Alberta to stay in Canada.
It's the job of the Prime Minister to unite the country, and that if the country's not united, that too is the responsibility of the Prime Minister.
Meanwhile, the PM says recent announcements with Premier Smith demonstrate he is committed to addressing Alberta's concerns.
We're working with Alberta on making it better. Just a week ago, I was in Calgary with Premier Smith.
Jeremy Thompson, CTV News, Edmonton.
Chiefs of Treaty 6 and 8 First Nations are condemning the Alberta government for what they say is advancing separation attempts. They say the province is required to have meaningful consultation with Treaty First Nations and plan to fight back. We'll have more reaction from across the country later this hour. A woman who owned 2 dogs that killed an 11-year-old boy in South Edmonton has been found guilty of criminal negligence causing death. The trial for 46-year-old Crystal McDonald wrapped up today. Nicole Weisberg has details and reaction.
I really appreciated that the people who were the victims of the prior attacks came to court and testified and shared their stories.
Stories that played a significant factor in the judge's decision. Dog owner Crystal McDonald should be held responsible for the death of 11-year-old Cash Grist. Cash was killed during a visit to his father's home in 2024. His dad was in the garage working on the accused's truck at the time and came in to a bloody scene. The judge called Wesley Grist a very credible and forthright witness and said he believed Grist when he said McDonald didn't put the 2 dogs in their kennels when she left for work that day. The court heard from several people terrorized by the dogs prior to the attack on Cash. The 2 cane corsos killed 2 pets, a cat and a dog, and bit 3 people, including McDonald. One of those attacks was caught on a neighbor's backyard camera. The seriously injured woman messaged McDonald afterwards saying she was convinced the dogs were going to kill someone. The judge said after that, there was a heightened duty for her to take steps to protect her roommate's son, Cash. And she didn't.
Her rule was that Cash couldn't be alone with the dogs, but it was clear that even one person being present with a potential victim was not enough. There had always been other people present during all of the attacks.
The judge said he generally found the accused to be evasive and defensive during her testimony. He said she knew the risks and called her response to the prior incidents wholly insufficient and inadequate.
Our position, of course, is, Miss McDonald, who loved that boy like a nephew, was put in a very difficult position when his father showed up with him and took steps that, to her, she reasonably believed would protect the child.
McDonald is scheduled to be sentenced in September. Her lawyer says they will likely appeal the decision. Nicole Weisberg, CTV News, Edmonton.
A man is dead after he was hit by a vehicle while standing outside his truck that was pulled over on the side of Wayne Gretzky Drive. It happened just before noon yesterday. Police say the 41-year-old driver pulled over on the 106th Avenue off-ramp. As he was walking to the back of his vehicle, he was hit by a truck and died. Police say they don't believe speed or alcohol were involved. Investigators are asking anyone with dashcam footage to call police. It was a chaotic night in an East Edmonton neighborhood. 2 crashes happened just blocks apart. One of them ended in a police standoff that lasted several hours. Amanda Anderson spoke to a man who watched it all unfold.
The ground shook, and the neighbors here watching TV felt their house shake. They felt like a boom.
That boom was the impact of a truck slamming into a brick wall near Carlos Robles' home Thursday night.
What the?
Robles saw it happen. He says he saw the truck racing down 66th Street, hit a curb, then slam into the wall, sending one of the dumpsters flying several feet.
It's been lucky, too, because if this wasn't here, that truck would have went right into the guy's house.
He began recording video as he went to see if anyone was hurt.
But then the police cruiser showed up, and that's kind of where I didn't want to move because, hey, something's probably going on here, eh?
Show your hands! Get back now!
Robles says that's when things got hectic. The area was surrounded by police moments later.
The police, drones, helicopter, and then canines as well. So then eventually they told everybody to leave the area because we don't know what was going to go down, right?
Yeah, you stole the truck, let him move around there.
Robles says the man was in the truck surrounded by police until at least 2:30 this morning.
They were bickering, going back and forth, negotiating like a trade-off between, I think it was a knife over cigarettes, right, to get him out of the truck.
It wasn't the only incident in his neighborhood last night. Just a few blocks away, the aftermath of another crash at a bus shelter. Robles says he saw the EPS Major Collision Investigation section on scene.
And they've blocked that whole area completely as well. And, to think about how that occurred and this occurred kind of almost at the same time, minutes apart, it's kind of crazy.
It's not known if the crashes are connected. Police have not yet answered our questions about either incident. Amanda Anderson, CTV News, Edmonton.
A local organization that helps veterans and first responders receiving medical treatment got a large donation today. Wheaton Honda donated this van to Valor Place. The organization provides accommodations for out-of-town veterans, first responders, and their families who are in Edmonton for medical care. The van will be used to drive them to and from appointments.
A lot of the times our families, when they come to us, they don't necessarily have time to pack up and bring their vehicle, or they're being flown in from elsewhere, that kind of thing. And it allows us to be able to get them the support they need in order to get to their appointments and take care of them like a family would. Valor Place is free for anyone staying there. And before we get to weather, here's something Corey doesn't have in his forecast. Royal Canadian Air Force flypast tomorrow afternoon at 1. A CH-146 Griffin helicopter like these will take a low flight over Edmonton. The mission meant to honor the Alberta Fallen Paramedic Memorial. So 100% chance of helicopter, Corey. How about a nice weekend?
Yeah, you know what? Saturday is looking quite nice, Jeff. Tonight we could see some scattered showers, possibly some thunder showers. And once we get rid of those, we do see some clearing overnight. And we start off with a lot of sun tomorrow. Right now, you're taking a live look through the River Valley Skycam, sitting at 20, wind gusts around 30. So we're seeing some of these scattered cells of showers and these little pockets of rain kind of moving through the Edmonton area. We'll take a look at that shortly. First, your almanac for today, we made it up to 21. 18 is our average seasonal high, so just above that, which is quite nice. As we take a look at the satellite radar, we are seeing some showers and rain out towards Fort Saskatchewan, on the southwest corner of the Henday, up towards St. Albert. Pretty scattered in the region, nothing too heavy, and this is what we're expecting to see as we go throughout the evening. So on and off scattered showers, possibly even a thunder shower or two, and temperature will start to drop off. We clear out overnight. Tomorrow we'll start off at 8 with sunny sky, wind light. As we progress throughout the day, the cloud will start to bend. It'll be a warm one, 25 for a high, but a bit windy late afternoon and into the evening, a slight chance of scattered showers once again. As far as the rest of the weekend, Sunday, 20, mostly cloudy on Sunday, about a 30% chance of scattered showers on Sunday. And then Monday, 24 with a mix of sun and cloud. The extended forecast looks quite nice, your 5 and 10 day. I'll have those coming up a little bit later on. Jeff.
Sounds great. Thanks, Corey. Still ahead, construction season complaints from one Edmonton neighborhood.
It's horrendous. So what should be a 15-minute ride is taking way over an hour. It's impassable.
The area councillor says he's as confused as his constituents about communication around a major traffic project. Also next.
I think we're outside of the realm of what is possible.
AI data center proposed in Alberta by Canadian businessman Kevin O'Leary under the microscope.
Programming brought to you by James H. Brown Injury Lawyers, the heavy hitters of injury law.
Some people living in southwest Edmonton say a new construction project has more than quadrupled their drive times. They also say they received no advance warning about the project. The area's councillor says neither did he. Curtis Goodrum has more.
Many southwest commuters are feeling the effects of construction season in Edmonton. 170th Street, south of the Henday, is being torn up. So too is driver patience with lengthy delays.
It's horrendous. So what should be a 15-minute ride is taking way over an hour. It's impassable.
And we're just going to have to put up with it. At least they've started construction.
The construction behind me caught many area residents off guard, including area councillor Mike Elliott.
It is
a cluster in many ways, shape or form.
Elliott says he was not given any information ahead of the project by city staff, leaving him without the tools to answer angry constituents.
The communication was lacking significantly on this, and there's nothing worse than your own councillor can't even provide a response back to a citizen.
He's since released a message with construction timelines. He hopes for better communication in the future.
Now I'm going, no, we will meet monthly because I want to get this information firsthand.
The construction is also frustrating some businesses.
Our reservation starts at 5 o'clock because they're stuck in the traffic, and it doesn't seem like it's improving. I'm sorry, but it's going worse day by day.
People who are coming here from the Henday, who live in a nearby area, they're probably not going to be coming to us. They're probably going to go to another location.
The city says they're working on trying to open up the area to allow for more traffic.
This amount of closures, the turning lanes, the passing lanes, it's just ridiculous.
Get this project done, we do have to include traffic impacts as part of that work.
The city says what they're doing is needed, and traffic impacts throughout the summer are an effect of population growth. Curtis Goodrum, CTV News, Edmonton.
An Alberta advocacy group is trying to raise awareness of potential issues with an AI data centre proposed by Canadian business mogul Kevin O'Leary. This AI-generated promotional video shows a concept of what the data centre campus could look like. The plan was scrutinized in a town hall last night. The centre would be built south of Grand Prairie in 3 phases. The first phase would be about 10 square kilometres in size and cost $12 billion. Advocacy group Public Interest Alberta hosted the virtual town hall to warn the public about the potential impact the development could have on water, wildlife, agriculture, and energy costs. Jenny Jeremy worked as a scientist in the oil and gas industry before becoming an activist.
This site was once supposed to be a hydrogen plan. This was actually a part of the UCP platform, but it died off because the water usage made the projects impossible. So again, I think we're outside of the realm of what is possible. The area also declared agricultural disaster last year.
The event also featured a presentation by a U.S. politician from Maine, where they are working to regulate artificial intelligence infrastructure in that state. Organizers say Kevin O'Leary's company will be hosting an in-person town hall in Grand Prairie about the proposed data centre June the 4th. A Lego convention based in Edmonton is growing and moving to a larger venue. Northern Bricks is organized by the Northern Alberta Lego Users Group. This is its 3rd year and the first in the Alberta Aviation Museum. It was previously held in a community hall in the Glengarry neighbourhood. Builders and artists from across the country are showing off their creations. You can also buy new and used sets or take part in some Lego-themed competitions. The organizer says Lego is more than a toy, it's becoming an art form.
You see that with certified professionals like Nathan Sawaya and all these larger Brickman exhibits that was just here at the Tell Us World of Science a couple of months ago. It's its own medium. Lego has grown with the adult community and has grown with many individuals over the course of their lives. You're talking about a toy brand that has been around for over 90 years now.
You can check out Northern Bricks at the Alberta Aviation Museum tomorrow and Sunday. Tickets are available at the door. Still ahead, new additions.
They look like fat, healthy babies.
Edmonton Valley Zoo unveiling a trio of Arctic wolf pups. And when we'll learn more about them.
We try and make sure that the wolves are comfortable, and the best way for baby wolves to be raised is by other wolves.
Very nice day today, but some things are changing. We are seeing some scattered showers in and around the Edmonton area, but those will move out, and then as we get set to head into the weekend, we'll see some nice clearing for Saturday. A beautiful day coming our way. I will have details on that, your 5 and 10 day forecast coming up.
Programming brought to you by James H. Brown Injury Lawyers, the heavy hitters of injury law.
Visitors to the Valley Zoo this summer may catch a glimpse of its newest additions, 3 Arctic wolf puppies.
They look like fat, healthy babies.
The puppies were born sometime in late April. Their exact birth date is unknown as their mother Aspen burrowed underground to give birth. The puppy's father is Tundra, the zoo's 14-year-old Arctic wolf who recently moved into a new exhibit with 2 females. The zoo says it will take a hands-off approach with the pups as they settle into their habitat.
They're outside right at the entrance to the den, but they're already playing with each other, jumping around, going up to meet Tundra. They're very interested in who Dad is right now. We try and make sure that the wolves are comfortable, and the best way for baby wolves to be raised is by other wolves.
The puppies will get their first checkup and vaccines when they're 8 to 12 weeks old. The zoo will be able to determine their sex at that time as well. The puppies will reach adult size within about 6 months.
Wow, that's fast.
Yeah, really quick, yeah. Large, big dogs, too.
Yeah, it takes humans a long time, doesn't it, to go from baby to adult?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah. Weather-wise, Jeff, a really nice Saturday coming our way. Yeah,
I'd like to hear more.
Yeah, those pups are going to be enjoying it out there at the Valley Zoo, and if you're going to maybe think about making a trip to do something outside, like to the Valley Zoo or anything outdoors, tomorrow is probably the day to do it. Sunday doesn't look horrible by any means, but tomorrow does look to be the nicer day. Here's the view through the Action Furnace River Valley Skycam. Action Furnace fixed right, or it's free. 20 degrees. Partly cloudy right now. We are seeing some scattered showers in and around the region. We'll take a look at that shortly. But first, with some of these showers coming in, we have seen winds pick up a little bit. Wind gusts around 28 here in the city. Sustained winds about 15. Red Deer did see some winds around 52. Calgary 30. So there are some areas seeing some stronger winds, but they will ease as we go throughout the evening and then pick up once again for tomorrow. We are at 20, Red Deer 16, Calgary 15. Some of the warmer temperatures have been in central and northern areas. Fort McMurray was the warm spot today at 23, high level matching that temperature as well. As we take a look at our calendar, today 21, we're now 12 days above seasonal for May. 3 normal and 7 below. So a fairly balanced month so far. We'll add more to the above as we go throughout the next few days. So taking a look at our temperature trend, seasonal is 18. We see temperatures remain above it, getting close to it next weekend for Saturday. But overall, most temperatures remaining in the 20s, which is quite nice. Now, we are seeing some lightning popping up on the map northeast of the city and also to the southwest, now around Red Deer and Rocky and Olds, and then up northeast of Lac La Biche. Those are pulling off to the east. Cold Lake, seeing some rain showers move in, possibly some lightning associated with that. And again, to the southwest, out towards Rocky and approaching Red Deer, some heavier pockets of rain, but very scattered. A little bit lighter in the Edmonton area. We're seeing some on the southwest corner of the Henday, approaching the White Mud, and then up towards Fort Saskatchewan. These are pulling off to the east. So we could, as we go throughout the evening, see a few more scattered showers, possibly a little bit of lightning associated with that. Then things settle down overnight, fairly clear overnight. And as we go throughout Saturday, we'll start to see a little bit of cloud build in as we get into the afternoon, evening. Slight chance of scattered showers as we go throughout the evening, and then more cloud moving in as we go throughout Sunday. For tonight, again, just keep an eye on the sky. Could see some scattered showers, possibly some thunder showers. 8 to start tomorrow morning with the sun, wind light. 25 for tomorrow. The wind will pick up late afternoon and into the evening, so expecting the wind to be stronger throughout the later part of the day. Sunday, 20, mostly cloudy, a slight chance of scattered showers, and then 24 on Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, 23 and 21. Late Tuesday into Wednesday, we could see some thunderstorms, possibly a chance of scattered showers on Wednesday. But the extended forecast does look quite nice. As we take a look at your 10-day, we can see that into next week and next weekend, most temperatures remain above seasonal. Jeff.
Looks fantastic. Thank you, Corey. Still ahead, countrywide reaction to Alberta's newly announced referendum on a referendum.
We're renovating the country as we go, and Alberta being at the center of that is essential.
The campaign for Canadian unity has begun, and
the risk to places outside endemic regions are very, very low.
East Africa's Ebola outbreak rapidly expands.
Programming brought to you by Green Tree Outdoor Living, where your dream yard becomes a reality. Programming brought to you by Century Casino, 3 great locations, Edmonton, St. Albert, and Century Mile.
Returning to our top story, reaction to Alberta Premier Danielle Smith's referendum on separation has been swift. Federal political leaders and premiers from other provinces stressing the importance of Alberta remaining in Canada. CTV's Rachel Ayalo is tracking the fallout from Ottawa.
facing the prospect of Albertans voting to separate from Canada. Today, the Prime Minister said the country, much like the Parliament Hill renovations he toured, is a work in progress.
Canada's working. We're working in a spirit of cooperative federalism to make the country better. We're renovating the country as we go, and Alberta being at the center of that is essential.
The question Albertans will be asked on October 19th is a wordy one. Should Alberta remain a province of Canada, or should the government of Alberta commence the legal process required under the Canadian Constitution to hold a binding provincial referendum on whether or not Alberta should separate from Canada? Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre said he and his party will fight for a united country.
We're going to reach out to Albertans in every corner of the province to make the case for our wonderful country, and we're going to do it through hope. We want Albertans to understand that they can have an even better future in our country.
While Premier Danielle Smith has insisted she's committed to a united country, the NDP's sole Alberta MP accused her of stoking division.
She made a choice to put that referendum question on the ballot, and I think it's a huge, huge mistake. This is not what Albertans need right now.
The Premier of Canada's most populous province also didn't hold back.
I'd never do it. Premier Smith knows how I feel. She wants to, I guess, protect her 30% base. It's not going to win, as far as I'm concerned. It'd be a disaster for Alberta.
The federal opposition voices we heard from today said that while all sides need to fight for Alberta to stay, Ottawa also has to swiftly address Albertans' legitimate economic concerns beyond building a pipeline, because much like the Centre Block renovations, that is going to take years to complete. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
Enhanced screening of another kind is now in effect at Canadian airports as an outbreak of Ebola continues to spread. The World Health Organization is warning infections are rising in Central Africa, though it says the global risk remains low. CTV's Heather Wright has more.
Passengers arriving at major ports of entry in Canada will now be asked about their travel history and any symptoms that could be related to Ebola, as the virus continues to spread rapidly in parts of Africa.
Our officers are designated as screening officers under the Quarantine Act and are well trained in the event that a traveler displays any symptoms of illness.
During a news conference this afternoon, Canada's top doctor gave an update on what she called a serious and evolving situation, including whether Canada will issue any travel restrictions on countries where the virus is circulating.
It's important that we look at how effective things like travel bans are. We need to be looking at whether or not there is any evidence that the outbreak is escaping the area that it's currently concentrated.
Dr. Joss Reimer says travel bans are ultimately a decision of Cabinet. And while the Public Health Agency of Canada provides advice, Reimer would not say whether she would recommend any travel restrictions. Experts reiterate that the risk to Canadians remains low.
So I think for sure there's a heightened attention to the virus and its potential for spread through travel, but the risk to places outside endemic regions are very, very low.
On Monday, American officials suspended entry into the United States for 30 days for travelers without a U.S. passport who have recently been to the Democratic Republic of Congo, South Sudan, and Uganda. That ban forced a Detroit-bound Air France flight to divert to Montreal because a passenger from the DRC boarded the plane in error.
They were assessed by a Public Health Agency of Canada quarantine officer, found not to have any symptoms, and have since returned to their point of origin.
A person in Ontario who returned from Ethiopia with symptoms consistent with a range of illnesses was tested for Ebola out of an abundance of caution. Those tests have come back negative, and health officials are asking any passengers returning from the affected regions to monitor their symptoms for at least 21 days. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
Some activists who were detained by Israel on an aid flotilla to Gaza say they were subjected to abuse, torture, and sexual violence.
Durant lequel moi j'ai subi des violences sexuelles et des attouchements.
This woman claims she was groped and slapped. Another said they heard screams and beatings. One man showed bruises on his back, alleging others were beaten more severely. Israel's prison service has denied allegations of abuse, and its foreign ministry claims no protesters were injured. Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand once again condemned their treatment, saying those responsible for this egregious abuse must be held accountable. Activists say there were 12 Canadians among those detained. U.S. President Donald Trump says the U.S. will send 5,000 troops to Poland weeks after saying thousands would be pulled from Europe. While it has left some NATO allies baffled, the alliance's Secretary General is being tight-lipped about the decision.
It has nothing to do with what happened over a couple of weeks ago when they announced the number of 5,000 with regard then to Germany. That's totally separate from it. But I cannot say too much because it is highly classified.
Sweden's foreign minister called Trump's about-face confusing. An anonymous U.S. defense official said, quote, "We don't know what this means." Trump has cited his strong ties with the Polish president as a reason for the additional troop deployment. Top-ranking U.S. intelligence official Tulsi Gabbard has resigned from the Trump administration. In a letter obtained by NBC News, Gabbard tells President Donald Trump her husband has been diagnosed with a serious and rare form of bone cancer. She says she's stepping away from public service to support him. The former Democratic Congresswoman broke with her party in 2024 to endorse Trump for president. She clashed with her CIA counterpart and other administration officials. She's the fourth cabinet member to leave Trump's administration. The Canadian Radio, Television and Telecommunications Commission is tripling the amount of money streaming companies will need to pay toward Canadian content. It's part of the Online Streaming Act, which the Trump administration has railed against.
We are not in touch with the government about the status of trade negotiations. We're applying Canadian law in Canada.
The act is on a list of contentious issues ahead of a review of the Canada-U.S.-Mexico free trade deal. The CRTC's new rules mean streaming companies will be required to contribute 15% of their Canadian revenue to Canadian content. The previous 5% was already challenged in court by a number of U.S. tech giants, including Amazon. As for traditional private broadcasters, including CTV, the CRTC has lowered the requirement to 25% of revenue. It used to be between 30 and 45%. The CRTC says the changes will amount to $2 billion in additional funding for Canadian and Indigenous content and news. The Pentagon has released a new batch of declassified UFO material. It includes more than 50 documents and videos. One of the 222 files refers to a series of reported sightings and investigations at a top-secret facility in New Mexico from 1948 to 1950. The U.S. Defense Department says there were more than 200 reports of green orbs, discs, and fireballs near the military base. 2 weeks ago, a batch of UFO material was released dating back to the late 1940s. It's been viewed more than 1 billion times worldwide. British police are broadening an investigation into former Prince Andrew, including looking into alleged sexual misconduct. ABC's Marcus Moore has the update from London.
Well, in their update, British police said that their investigation into former Prince Andrew is a complex investigation. Their latest statement includes a call for witnesses to come forward, and it explains that they've been in touch with the lawyer for one woman who said that she was trafficked to Andrew at his home in Royal Lodge back in 2010. She has not officially brought this claim to police, though, so it's not part of the ongoing investigation. In today's statement, though, police said that if she wishes to report this to police, it will be taken seriously and handled with care. While Andrew has not commented on this specific case, he has consistently denied all wrongdoing. The prince was arrested last February for suspected misconduct in public office. He was questioned for hours and then released. His arrest came after emails published in the Epstein files appeared to show Andrew had forwarded government information to Epstein while he was the trade envoy for the UK government back in 2010. His brother King Charles removing all of Andrew's titles last year over the scandal surrounding his friendship with Epstein. Marcus Moore, ABC News, London.
A 911 call obtained by the Associated Press reveals NASCAR driver Kyle Busch was overheating and experiencing shortness of breath the day before his death. News broke yesterday of the legendary driver's death at age 41. His family said he'd been hospitalized with a severe illness. Busch's racing resume spanned more than 2 decades. It includes 234 wins across the sport's 3 national series, more than any other driver in history. In a statement, NASCAR called Busch a future Hall of Famer, saying he was a rare talent, one who comes along once in a generation. A mysterious Hudson's Bay Company painting with a murky and debated history sold for quite a price tag. The 361-year-old portrait of Prince Rupert sold for over $217,000 at auction. The piece had drawn intense interest because of its unclear origins and connection to the retailer's legacy. It's one of several historic pieces being sold off by the shuttered department store. Still ahead, gassing up the numbers.
The longer those gasoline prices remain high, the more it continues to squeeze households.
How a spike in retail sales across Canada may not be what it looks like due to higher gas prices. Also next.
No one thinks that they're going to have a ticking time bomb in their kitchen in which glass will fly all over the place.
Look into hundreds of complaints about glass oven doors suddenly shattering.
Next week on Your Morning, we have puppies in the studio who will soon be up for adoption. If you don't have space in your home, we'll talk about ways you can support rescues as they try to survive.
Your Morning Edmonton, weekdays.
Checking on the markets, the Canadian dollar holding steady near 72 cents U.S. Oil was up just 25 cents, sitting around $96 a barrel. Gold is down $19 on the day. On the stock market, the TSX gained 61 points. The Dow Jones is up 294. New Canada-wide retail numbers show an increase in March, driven by gas stations and fuel vendors. CTV's Kamal Karamali has more on what that means for the Canadian economy.
The surge in retail sales, specifically in the fuel sector, is not being viewed as a good thing because it has less to do with an increase in spending and more to do with higher gas prices. Retail sales in March increased by nearly a full percent to more than $72 billion. It was largely driven by this massive bump, more than 12% month over month in sales rising at gas station and fuel vendors. But it's not that they sold more. In fact, the actual volume of gas sold was down nearly 2%. It's just that gas is now more expensive, so they're bringing in more money. To add to that, core retail sales were down slightly. Those are sectors outside of fuel, like food, personal care, and clothing. All of that was down 0.1%.
The problem for when we look more under the hood for retail sales is that the longer oil prices remain high, the longer those gasoline prices remain high, the more it continues to squeeze households and reducing their purchasing power. And that will start to be a big headwind on spending going forward.
So when people are spending more money on gas, they spend less money on other goods. A concern that this trend will continue when April's retail sales numbers come out. Kamal Karamali, CTV News, Toronto.
More Tim Hortons locations are coming to Canada. The coffee chain is opening 80 new restaurants and renovating 400. It follows the decision by American coffee giant Dunkin' Donuts to re-enter the Canadian market. Tim Hortons says 280 restaurant owners are spending $270 million on the revamp. The corporation is pitching in $130 million. Alberta will get 17 new locations. 7-Eleven expects to close hundreds of its locations this year. The chain's North American operator plans to close more than 600 stores, 3 times as many as first thought. Its Japan-based parent company says the closures include conversion of some locations to wholesale fuel stores. Many modern stoves include an oven with a glass door. While it's a popular aesthetic, there are increasing concerns after hundreds of them have shattered for no apparent reason. CTV's Pat Foran reports.
Imagine being at home when you hear the sound of something shattering in the kitchen. Many consumers say when their oven's glass doors exploded, it sounded like a bomb went off.
No one thinks that they're going to have a ticking time bomb in their kitchen in which glass will fly all over the place.
Consumer Reports investigation focused on complaints filed with the Consumer Product Safety Commission over a 15-month period. There were 386 incidents and more than 40 injuries. In many cases, the oven wasn't even on.
Some were asleep in bed. They went downstairs. They touched the oven. It was cold to the touch, but there was glass all over the floor.
There have been similar complaints dating back more than a decade, and they're not limited to a single manufacturer.
Although Frigidaire is cited more than any other company, we're seeing this issue across brands.
Consumer Reports contacted the 5 manufacturers with the most complaints. LG said it's aware of the problem, but has not identified a basis at this time for additional action. The other 4 companies said their products meet third-party safety standards. Samsung is the only company to say it offers free repairs regardless of warranty status.
We're calling on these companies to work with the Consumer Product Safety Commission, dig into the incidents, and offer free repairs to consumers.
There may be no obvious warning signs before that the glass in the oven door is about to fail.
There's nothing clear besides possibly if there's a chip or a crack or damage in the glass. And if that was to happen, I would contact the manufacturer immediately.
If your oven glass door does shatter, it's best to take photos, keep any repair records, and contact the manufacturer. Well, at first it appeared these cases were rare. Now there's proof it's a widespread problem that needs attention.
Coming up, one last late night. It's lights out on the Late Show as Stephen Colbert goes out with a bang.
Stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you tonight on CTV. Programming brought to you by Alberta iGaming Corporation. For integrity, for fun, for Alberta.
A hot tub store in Kelowna had to kick out a visitor who was testing the merchandise.
Hey, get out of here, you guys. You guys get ready to get back.
The unwelcome visit captured on camera. It looks like the bear briefly tested a hot tub out before being shooed away. Staff say the shop's doors are left open in the summer, and the bear must have seen that as an invitation. Mounties say the bear was last seen in an orchard out of harm's way and not posing any danger to the public. An era of late-night television has officially ended. A slew of celebrity guests, along with a rock and roll legend, helped Stephen Colbert shut down The Late Show after more than 30 years. ABC's Rena Roy reports.
Overnight, Stephen Colbert hosting the final Late Show on CBS.
If you're just tuning into The Late Show, you missed a lot.
Colbert trying to do a normal show, but he kept getting interrupted by celebrities, all vying to be his final guest.
A surprise celebrity cameo popping up out of nowhere?
No, Brian, those always feel kind of forced. Paul, why are you interrupting me?
I'm just curious when our interview starts. I have an extremely long poem I want to recite.
Ryan, it's great to see you, but I hate to tell you, buddy, you're not my last guest. Ouchie.
The night building to a big surprise. Colbert, a devout Catholic, teeing up an interview with Pope Leo.
Oh, wait, Colbert. You call that a Chicago dog? Pope don't play like that. Leo, out.
But instead settling for Paul McCartney.
Hey, Steve, what about me?
McCartney returning to the Ed Sullivan Theater for perhaps the final time.
The Beatles, bring them on.
More than 60 years after the Beatles' legendary appearance on the same stage, McCartney gifting Colbert a photo of that concert.
To Stephen, you're better than the Beatles.
Closing out the final show with the Beatles classic. The broadcast ending with Colbert and McCartney turning off the lights on the Late Show franchise. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
All right, we like fun facts on this program. You've been to a taping, or 2 or 3, or
yeah, one of Stephen Colbert and a few of David Letterman,
wow.
and so yeah, it was awesome. It's quite the production. Like you wait in line and you're selected, and you know, it's a lot longer of a process than just the show.
Does it feel different than it does when you're watching on television at home?
It does. It feels a little more intimate for sure. But David Beckham was on, and Florence and the Machine, so got to see some cool
things. Sounds like lots of fun.
Yeah, it was.
Glad you did that.
Could be quite fun tomorrow. 25, lots of sun throughout the early part of the day. The wind will pick up later on into the day. 25 for a high. Mostly cloudy Sunday. A slight chance of scattered showers and a high of 20. 24 Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, 23 and 21, slightly unsettled, but overall not too bad. Tomorrow will be the nicer day out of the next 2.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Corey, and thank you very much for sharing your time with us. Have a great weekend, everyone.